on because of her skin color, but Tessa had learned to channel her anger into calculated actions rather than impulsive reactions. "They don't define me, Claire," Tessa said softly but firmly. "Their ignorance, their prejudice, that's on them, not me. But that doesn't mean we let it slide." Claire slowed her steps, looking at Tessa with a mixture of admiration and frustration. "So, what do we do?" Tessa stopped walking, turning to Claire with a small, knowing smile. "We remind them who they're dealing with, not with words, but with actions." Over the next few days, Tessa's sharp mind went to work. She didn't just want revenge, she wanted to make a statement, a change, and perhaps teach the restaurant a lesson they'd never forget. "I don't like rubbish," she told them, "and I hate being made fools of by stupid jerks." Her plan was meticulous. Using her extensive network, she quietly gathered information about the restaurant's operations, ownership, and finances. She discovered that while Maison Elegance was celebrated for its culinary excellence, it had struggled financially in recent years, relying heavily on its reputation and elite clientele to stay afloat. Tessa also reached out to influential friends, journalists, and activists who shared her vision of equity and justice. She decided it was time to expose the subtle but pervasive prejudices that still plagued even the most refined spaces in society. Meanwhile, Claire, still fuming from the incident, helped coordinate the logistics. She made calls, arranged meetings, and ensured every detail of Tessa's strategy was flawlessly executed. Finally, the day came. Tessa returned to Maison Elegance, not as a customer, but as someone who now had the power to reshape their narrative. The impact of her actions would ripple far beyond the restaurant's walls, forcing everyone involved to confront their biases and reflect on the consequences of their decisions. Tessa continued, her voice unwavering and calm, as if she had already envisioned every step of her plan. "Prestige and reputation can only carry a business so far, Claire. Behind all the glamour, Maison Elegance is teetering on the edge of insolvency. The owners are likely desperate for a lifeline. That's where I come in." Claire leaned forward, curiosity overtaking her initial doubt. "You're saying they'd actually sell? A restaurant like that?" Tessa nodded. "Every business has a breaking point, and I intend to find theirs. I've built my career turning challenges into opportunities. This will be no different." "But what about the current staff?" Claire asked, her concern genuine. "The ones who refused us tonight. They're part of the problem, but not everyone there might feel the same way." Tessa's expression softened slightly. "I don't believe in punishing an entire team for the actions of a few. When the time comes, we'll assess everything. Retraining, restructuring, maybe even rebranding. This isn't just about proving a point. It's about creating a space where people of all backgrounds feel welcome. A place where no one is judged by their appearance before they've even taken a seat." Claire's admiration for Tessa grew with every word. "You're not just buying the restaurant, are you?" she said, a smile forming on her lips. "You're rewriting its story." Tessa smiled back, her confidence radiating. "Exactly. This is more than a business decision, it's a message, a reminder that the barriers society puts up can be dismantled, and this time I'll make sure the gatekeepers know their place." Claire chuckled, shaking her head in disbelief. "You really don't do anything halfway. So, what's the next step?" "Finishing the job better," Devon said, "then moving on to another. Your thing." Tessa glanced out the window, watching the city lights flicker in the night. "First, we finalize the strategy. I'll need my legal and financial teams to discreetly approach their owners. We'll start with an offer they can't refuse, but I'm prepared for negotiations if it comes to that." Claire raised an eyebrow. And if they resist? Tessa's eyes gleamed with determination. Then we wait. Businesses in debt rarely have the luxury of turning down help. And when the time is right, we'll step in. Not as customers denied entry, but as leaders taking over. The two women sat in silence for a moment, the weight of Tessa's ambition sinking in. Claire finally broke the quiet. This is going to be incredible. When this is all over, Maison Elegance won't just be a restaurant. It'll be a beacon for change. Tessa raised her coffee cup with a small smile. Here's to that, Claire. Let's get to work. As they clinked their cups together, the noise of the bustling city faded into the background. What had started as an evening of subtle prejudice was now the beginning of a transformation. One that would challenge not just a single restaurant, but the very structures of exclusivity and bias it represented. Tessa leaned back in her chair, a slight smile playing on her lips. We're closer than ever, Claire. The key investors are showing interest, and once they see the final offer, they won't be able to resist. It's just a matter of timing now. Claire sipped her own coffee, her mind racing with the magnitude of the plan. I can't believe it. A few weeks ago, they wouldn't even let us through the door, and now we're on the verge of taking over the entire restaurant. This is going to be incredible. Tessa chuckled softly, her gaze steady and calm. It's not just about taking over, Claire. It's about transforming what Maison Elegance stands for. No one should ever feel excluded or looked down upon in spaces like this. Once it's ours, we'll make sure it's a place that truly embodies its name, elegance, but with inclusivity at its heart. Claire nodded, her admiration for Tessa deepening. You're turning their arrogance into an opportunity for change. It's brilliant. Tessa's phone buzzed on her desk, interrupting the moment. She glanced at the screen and saw a message from her legal advisor. We've secured interest from 3 out of the 5 key shareholders. A formal meeting has been requested to discuss the terms. Tessa placed her phone down and looked back at Claire, her expression confident. The tide is turning. We're moving to the final stage. It's time to close this deal. Claire's excitement was palpable. What happens next? Do you reveal yourself once the purchase is finalized? Tessa paused for a moment, considering her response. Not immediately. First, we need to ensure the transition goes smoothly. Once we've taken control, we'll address the staff and set new standards for how the restaurant operates. Then I'll make my presence known, not as a power move, but as a leader who values respect, equality, and excellence. Claire smiled, a sense of pride evident in her expression. I can't wait to see their faces when they realize who their new owner is. Tessa's lips curved into a knowing smile. Neither can I. But more importantly, I can't wait to see the transformation. Maison Elegance will become a beacon of change, not just for its diners, but for the entire industry. As the night stretched on, the two women continued to strategize, their shared determination driving them forward. Tessa's vision was clear, her resolve unshakable. What had started as a slight was now becoming a powerful statement, a reimagining of what success, inclusion, and leadership truly meant. Finally agreed to sell their stakes. The deal was set to proceed under strict confidentiality agreements, ensuring that Tessa's identity remained undisclosed until all legalities were finalized. As the meeting concluded, Vincent extended a hand to Daniel, his expression a mixture of resignation and curiosity. Your client has made a compelling case. I hope they honor the legacy of Maison Elegance, even as they chart a new course. Daniel shook his hand firmly. You have my word, Mr. Lauren. This is not just a financial acquisition, it's a vision for something greater. The restaurant's legacy will not only be preserved, but enhanced. Back at her office later that evening, Tessa received the news from Daniel. "It's done," he announced. "The preliminary agreements are signed. We'll begin the transition process immediately." Tessa exhaled deeply, a rare moment of relief breaking through her usually composed demeanor. "Good work, Daniel," she said. "But the real challenge begins now. It's time to transform Maison Elegance into everything it should have been, and more." Over the next few weeks, Tessa worked tirelessly with her team to oversee the transition. New policies were drafted, focusing on inclusivity and a redefined approach to luxury. Staff training programs were planned to instill the values of respect and equality. She also began curating a menu that would honor the restaurant's Michelin heritage, while introducing diverse culinary influences, reflecting her vision of a more inclusive dining experience. The official announcement of the acquisition was made in a press release, carefully crafted to celebrate the new chapter for Maison Elegance. Tessa's identity was revealed as the new owner, a moment that sent shock waves through the industry. The media buzzed with the story of how a once excluded guest had become the driving force behind one of the most prestigious establishments in the world. When asked during a press conference why she had chosen to purchase Maison Elegance, Tessa replied with her characteristic poise, "Maison Elegance is more than a restaurant. It's a symbol of aspiration, achievement, and experience. But symbols must evolve. Luxury should never be a barrier. It should be an invitation. My goal is to redefine what luxury means, to make it inclusive, accessible, and representative of the diverse world we live in." The transformation of Maison Elegance was swift and profound. Its reputation, once tarnished by exclusivity and arrogance, began to shine as a beacon of change. Tessa's vision resonated not only with patrons but also with the broader hospitality industry, sparking conversations about diversity and representation in high-end spaces. As Tessa walked through the restaurant's grand dining hall one evening, now filled with diners from all walks of life, she felt a sense of accomplishment. Claire, who stood by her side, looked around in awe. "You did it, Tessa," she said. Tessa smiled, her gaze sweeping over the lively room. "No, Claire, we did it. This isn't just a victory for me. It's a victory for everyone who ever felt like they didn't belong. And this is only the beginning," agreed Tessa, her voice resolute. "The first step is to establish a new culture, one that reflects inclusion and respect at every level. We'll implement comprehensive training programs for the staff to embody these values, and we'll overhaul policies to ensure no one is ever turned away or judged unfairly." Claire nodded, her excitement growing. "And what about the menu? Are you planning to make changes there too?" Tessa smiled, leaning back in her chair. "Absolutely. We'll honor the legacy of Maison Elegance's fine dining roots, but we'll also introduce diverse culinary influences. The menu will reflect the rich tapestry of cultures that make up our world. It's not just about luxury. It's about creating an experience that tells a story, one that everyone can relate to." Claire's eyes sparkled with admiration. "You're really turning this into something extraordinary, Tessa." Tessa turned to face her, a hint of a smile on her lips, but her tone serious. "This isn't just about running a successful restaurant, Claire. It's about setting a precedent, showing that excellence and inclusivity can go hand in hand. Maison Elegance will be a place where people come not just for the food, but for what it represents." In the weeks that followed, the transformation of Maison Elegance began in earnest. Tessa worked tirelessly with her team to redefine every aspect of the establishment, from the branding and interior design to the hiring of new staff and collaborations with chefs who shared her vision. Every detail was meticulously planned and executed. The restaurant reopened with an elegant but welcoming new look. Invitations to the grand reopening event were sent to a carefully curated list of industry insiders, media, and local community leaders, making it clear that Maison Elegance was entering a bold new chapter. On the night of the reopening, Tessa stood at the entrance, greeting guests with poise and confidence. As the dining room filled with a diverse crowd of patrons, she felt a deep sense of satisfaction. The once exclusive restaurant was now a vibrant space alive with conversation and connection. As the evening progressed, Claire found Tessa standing near the window, watching the bustling scene with a quiet smile. "Look at this," Claire said, gesturing to the lively atmosphere. "You've created something incredible." Tessa nodded, her gaze steady. "This is just the beginning, Claire. Maison Elegance isn't just a restaurant anymore. It's a statement, a promise that luxury belongs to everyone." The two women stood together, taking in the moment. The journey had been challenging, but it was worth every step. Tessa knew there was still work to be done, but for the first time she allowed herself to savor the victory. Maison Elegance was no longer just a dream. It was a reality, one she was determined to shape into a legacy of change. Something, but quickly realized he had no valid argument. Instead, he sat back in his chair, his face turning red with embarrassment. Tessa straightened up, her tone steady but commanding. "The only standard this restaurant will uphold from now on is one of excellence. Excellence in service, cuisine, and inclusivity. Maison Elegance will remain a luxury establishment, but it will become a place where anyone who values and respects this experience is welcome. If that doesn't align with your vision, you're free to leave." The room fell silent once more, the weight of Tessa's words sinking in. She continued, her voice unwavering. "For those who wish to stay, I expect your full cooperation. We will be implementing new training programs focused on inclusivity and customer service. Every staff member, from management to kitchen staff, will undergo this training. This isn't negotiable." She turned her attention to the head chef, a middle-aged man named Jean-Luc, who had remained quiet but attentive throughout the meeting. "Jean-Luc," Tessa said, her tone softening slightly, "your culinary expertise is one of the reasons this restaurant has maintained its reputation. I want you to continue creating dishes that reflect the artistry and tradition Maison Elegance is known for. But I also want to expand the menu to include influences from a variety of cultures, flavors that tell stories and resonate with a diverse clientele. Are you willing to take on this challenge?" Jean-Luc hesitated for a moment, then nodded. "I am, Ms. Williams," he said, his voice firm. "It would be an honor to bring new dimensions to our menu while maintaining the standards we've built." Tessa offered a small nod of approval before addressing the rest of the team. Maison Elegance will no longer be a place that caters exclusively to a narrow vision of luxury. It will stand as a symbol of progress, inclusion, and excellence. Those who embrace this vision will find themselves part of something extraordinary. Those who don't are free to step aside. She paused, scanning the room to ensure her message was clear. Take the next 48 hours to decide whether you're willing to be part of this transformation. I expect a response from each of you by then. If you choose to stay, be prepared to work harder than ever to make Maison Elegance a success. With that, Tessa concluded the meeting and left the room, leaving the management team in a state of stunned reflection. The following days were a whirlwind of activity. Some staff members chose to leave, unable or unwilling to adapt to the new direction. Others stayed, eager to be part of the change. Tessa brought in new hires, individuals who shared her vision and were passionate about redefining the luxury dining experience. The restaurant underwent a subtle yet impactful transformation. The training programs Tessa had implemented emphasized not only professionalism, but also empathy and respect for all patrons. The updated menu, crafted by Jean-Luc and his team, featured an innovative blend of classic French cuisine with global influences, earning praise from critics and customers alike. Tessa personally oversaw every aspect of the transition, her presence a constant reminder of the new values Maison Elegance stood for. She took time to meet with the staff, ensuring they understood and embraced the mission. Her leadership was firm but inspiring, and even those who had been skeptical at first found themselves motivated by her vision. The grand reopening of Maison Elegance was a highly anticipated event. Invitations were sent to prominent figures in the culinary world, journalists and members of the community. The evening was a resounding success, with guests marveling at the restaurant's revitalized atmosphere and innovative menu. Tessa watched the event unfold from a quiet corner of the dining room, her heart swelling with pride as she observed the diverse crowd enjoying the experience. Claire joined her, a glass of champagne in hand. "You've done it, Tessa," she said, her voice filled with admiration. "Maison Elegance is everything you envisioned and more." Tessa smiled, her gaze steady. "This is only the beginning, Claire. The real work starts now. Maison Elegance isn't just a restaurant anymore. It's a beacon, a place where people from all walks of life can come together and experience something extraordinary." Claire raised her glass. "To the future, and to the change you've brought to this industry." Tessa clinked her glass with Claire's, her eyes shining with determination. "To a future where luxury belongs to everyone." As the night went on, Tessa allowed herself a moment of quiet reflection. The journey had been far from easy, but standing in the heart of a transformed Maison Elegance, she knew it had been worth every challenge. This wasn't just a victory for her, it was a step toward a more inclusive and equitable future, one she was proud to be shaping. Professionals and families looking for a special dining experience. The shift in branding brought a surge of new customers, and the restaurant quickly became a symbol of modern luxury, one that embraced diversity and progress. Tessa remained deeply involved in every aspect of the transformation. She personally oversaw staff meetings, reviewed guest feedback, and even participated in brainstorming sessions with the chefs to refine the menu. Jean-Luc, the head chef, worked closely with Tessa to create dishes that honored Maison Elegance's French roots while incorporating flavors from around the world. The new menu was a testament to the restaurant's commitment to inclusivity, featuring dishes that celebrated a variety of cultures. In the midst of all this, Tessa made sure to engage with the community. She organized charity events and partnered with local organizations to provide culinary training for underprivileged youth. These initiatives not only strengthened the restaurant's ties to the city, but also reinforced its new identity as a place where everyone was welcome. Despite the overwhelming success, there were still moments of resistance. A few regular patrons expressed dissatisfaction with the changes, claiming that the restaurant had lost its exclusivity, but Tessa stood firm, refusing to compromise on her vision. She believed that true luxury was about offering an exceptional experience to everyone, not just a select few. It was one evening, as Tessa walked through the dining room, she noticed a diverse crowd enjoying their meals. Couples laughed over candlelit tables, families shared stories over beautifully plated dishes, and business partners sealed deals with handshakes and wine. The atmosphere was vibrant, filled with warmth and inclusivity. It was everything Tessa had dreamed of, and more. Claire approached her with a wide smile. "It's incredible, isn't it? The place feels so alive." Tessa nodded, her heart swelling with pride. "It's what Maison Elegance was always meant to be, a place where people come together, regardless of who they are or where they come from. As the night went on, Tessa reflected on how far they had come. The journey had been challenging, filled with tough decisions and moments of doubt. But standing in the heart of a transformed restaurant, surrounded by the laughter and joy of a diverse crowd, she knew it had all been worth it. Maison Elegance was no longer just a restaurant. It was a symbol, a beacon of change in an industry that had long been resistant to it. And for Tessa, this was just the beginning. Couples from all walks of life, young professionals, and families eager to savor the high-end dining experience they once thought was unattainable now filled the restaurant. Tessa marveled at the transformation of Maison Elegance. Yet, she knew her journey was far from over. While she had successfully altered the restaurant's structure and mindset, Tessa realized the real work lay in ensuring Maison Elegance was not just a Michelin-Starred establishment, but a lasting symbol of justice and equality in the luxury service industry. The changes Tessa implemented began to settle into the daily operations, but she remained determined to expand her vision. One afternoon, Tessa sat in her newly redesigned office overlooking the bustling dining room below. The office, once reserved for the previous management, now radiated a balance of luxury and warmth that reflected her goals for Maison Elegance. As she observed the crowd below, diverse patrons enjoying the experience that was once reserved for a select few, she felt a mix of pride and purpose. Claire entered the office, her face glowing with excitement. "You won't believe this," she said, holding a stack of papers. "The latest reviews for Maison Elegance are incredible. Customers are praising the food, yes, but they're especially talking about the welcoming atmosphere and the changes you've made. You've done something truly remarkable, Tessa." Tessa smiled but remained thoughtful. "This is just the beginning, Claire," she replied. "We've transformed one restaurant, but the real impact comes when we inspire an entire industry. I want Maison Elegance to serve as an example, a catalyst for change. It's time other businesses rethink how they treat their customers, their staff, and their communities." Claire nodded, sensing Tessa's determination. "How do you plan to do that?" "We'll start by expanding our network," Tessa said, her eyes alight with ambition. "We won't stop here. I want to identify other restaurants, hotels, and luxury businesses where discrimination still exists. We'll work with them to change their culture. I'll collaborate with renowned chefs, top managers, and leaders in hospitality to create a new model, one that proves luxury and inclusivity can go hand in hand." In the following months, Tessa turned her ambitious plans into action. She organized workshops and conferences, inviting hospitality experts from around the world to discuss ways to eliminate discriminatory practices while maintaining high-quality service. Maison Elegance became the centerpiece of a movement. Its transformation featured in prestigious magazines and newspapers. Tessa also established partnerships with educational institutions and community organizations, providing opportunities for young people who had been excluded from the luxury service industry due to their economic background or race. She created scholarships and internships, offering training programs that helped diversify the talent pool within the industry. One evening, as Tessa sipped tea by the window in her office, Claire entered with a freshly printed newspaper. The front page featured a striking image of Maison Elegance with the headline, "Tessa Williams, the woman redefining luxury hospitality." The article praised her for not only revitalizing the restaurant, but also for spearheading a movement that emphasized inclusivity and fairness. Tessa set the newspaper down and gazed out at the twinkling city lights. The success of Maison Elegance had exceeded her expectations, but what truly moved her was the ripple effect her actions were creating. Other restaurants, inspired by her story, had begun re-evaluating their policies. Industry leaders were reaching out, eager to adopt her innovative model of inclusive luxury. Claire joined her by the window, her admiration for Tessa evident. "You've done it," she said softly. "Not just a restaurant. A legacy." Tessa smiled, her expression a blend of satisfaction and resolve. "This is just the beginning," she said. "There's still so much more to do." Under Tessa's leadership, Maison Elegance became a beacon of inclusivity, a place where every guest was treated with respect and dignity, and where luxury was defined by excellence, not exclusivity. Tessa's journey had started as a fight for justice, but evolved into a mission to transform an entire industry. Her story stands as a testament to the power of resilience and the courage to create meaningful change. Tessa didn't just reclaim her place in a world that tried to exclude her. She redefined it, opening doors for others and building a legacy that would inspire future generations. Her journey reminds us all that true progress comes not from tearing down, but from building something better.